4th in the world at the moment. Salpeter in 5th behind this trio of Ethiopians. They've turned left out of their tunnel, and those gaps have opened up very quickly. That was a vicious attack, Sonia, on the bridge from Shankule. I know you think she's gone a little bit too early, but normally athletes of this calibre can judge it right.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely, it seems like she had a plan to go at that point in the race. And you know, now she looks okay again, now that she's gone over that hill and coming down the downhill. She looks a bit more relaxed, and she can probably take a bit of a break here, but I think Yahula still looks strong behind. Gebre Selassie, I think she has a more concerned look on her face about what's coming from behind her. But Shankula here now, she really just has to focus on the road ahead, and you know, it will be interesting. I think if she continues to look behind her, then we'll know that she is a little bit worried and not as confident as she was when she made that breakaway.
Mind you, having said that, Yahula had a glance over her shoulder, just said the athlete in 2nd place. Here's Gebre Selassie, the defending champion, and there are the gaps. Look, Shankule leads by 6 seconds. Yahula chasing hard on this slight downhill section over in Buda, the smaller section of the course to the west of the Danube. Gebre Selassie in 3rd place, the defending champion. She's a further 8 seconds back, and maybe just struggling here. She might, if we see her look over her shoulder, then maybe the writing will be on the wall that her title has gone. It could be already, because Shankule is running incredibly strongly. Her full name, Amani Barise Shankule. She's the 3rd quickest athlete in history. She's a 2:14 performer. You don't have to go back too far. Before that sort of time, we'd get British men in Olympic teams and European Championship teams. I mean, it is an incredible time. She set that winning in Valencia in that national record for the Ethiopians back on the 4th of December last year, where she went through halfway in 67:18. That was actually quicker than her then half-marathon personal best. In fact, it still is. Just looking at her half-marathon personal best is 68:43 officially, which went through in 67:18 in Valencia.
It's incredible the times that the women marathon runners are running at the moment. And what we'll notice when we, at the end of this, is the second half split. Obviously, it's going to be a negative split race here, because we're going at 2:29 pace initially, and now down to, so they'll be finishing in sub 2:20 pace, possibly under 70 minutes for the second half of the marathon.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, she is motoring. And 65 women have broken the 2:20 barrier now. 53 of them, by the way, are African-born, a continent that dominates the world of distance running, has done now for 30 or 40 years. 12 athletes from the top 20 in Eugene last year in this race, so it's a very high caliber field, we know that. And onto the tile section here. Shankule, the best of the Ethiopians on this day so far. Has failed to finish a couple of marathons, has to be said, but she won her 3 marathons before Boston in April last year. 2:21 to finish 2nd behind Obiri, but she won the 3 before that. She might be back into winning form now. Mark, what are you thinking as you see this happen? Do you think that gap is becoming insurmountable? Mark Coogan, can you hear me? We seem to have lost Mark Coogan momentarily. Sorry, Sonny, go ahead.
I can hear you.
Oh, he's back. We lost him.
Okay, so I think the lead might be insurmountable, team. Right now she has a 17-second lead. We've dropped back to the 2nd place Ethiopian, and she still looks strong and it is moving hard, but I think the gap is increasing a little bit, 17, 18 seconds right now. And she keeps looking back at 2nd place.
And is this Gebre Selassie catching Yahula in 2nd place, checking her watch there? I'm not quite sure what she's looking for in regards to checking her watch.
It looked like Gebre Selassie got a bit of momentum on the downhill section there and over the tiles, and Yahula, she's continually looking at her watch. I don't know, is she checking the weather or what? She's maybe she's getting some updates.
Just got an email or a text message.
It's interesting actually, because in the track races, when the athletes go into the track, they're not allowed to bring their watches in with them. But obviously they have a different rule for the marathon runners. And Gebre Selassie is definitely catching up here now too, Yahula.
This is interesting, isn't it? Gebrselassie closing on Yahualo. Second and third, a little domestic ding-dong going on between them as they go past the tunnel entrance and that square. The Clark Square, Adam Clark Square on the Budapest Bridge for the final time. And these two look together now. Yahualo has been passed by Gebrselassie, and Yahualo slowing dramatically. The last kilometre, by the way, by the leader, 3:11, the quickest of the race. She's been knocking out 3:12s, 3:13s, that sort of region for the last 5 or 6 kilometres, and she's just run a 3:11. There was some downhill in it as well. But Gebrselassie, maybe she's getting a second wind here, and just maybe she thinks she can catch Amani Barisa. Wouldn't that be fascinating? From the bridge here back to Heroes Square, we're talking about 3.5 kilometres, something like that. It's a couple of miles. Maybe not. She's going to run out of road, Sonia.
She may run out of road to catch up to the leader, but Yehuda actually looks quite worried looking over her shoulder. So it'd be interesting to see the gap back to Salpeter, and if there's a chance that Yehuda would be passed for the bronze medal.
Well, this is a fabulous effort from Gebrselassie to retain her title from the streets of Eugene 12 months ago, 13 months ago in fact. Yahualo in third place, a nervous glance over her shoulder there, because I think she is actually worried about the Moroccan Gardadi. Gardadi having a fantastic run. She's in fourth place. She was 5 seconds ahead of Salpeter, and here is Gardadi now. And she may yet get a medal. If she is closing down, I don't know if she's going much faster than the athlete in third, Gebrselassie, just looking. In fact, Gebrselassie at the last clocking was going slightly quicker. I think Gebrselassie ran at 3:17 for her last kilometre, Gardadi at 3:22. But she has got a target, the Moroccan. It's been a fantastic closing few kilometres from this little Moroccan. She's moving so well. Back onto the Buda side of the city. And just checking the 31-year-old. She has only run 2 marathons. She's a relative novice. Back to the leader here, Shankule, who's in the shade, well, some of the time, on Andrassy Avenue for the final time. No change of that expression. She's suffering, there's no doubt about it. It has been a hammer blow, punch in the face, so to speak, of her compatriots that she's delivered since that attack on the bridge heading west about 15 minutes ago. They've negotiated the Buda loop. Now she's back in Pest. The crowds have grown all the time. They're big here in Budapest. It's a fabulous day for marathon racing from the crowd perspective. Maybe not for the athletes. It's 29 degrees centigrade in Budapest. And Sonia, we may see some significant changes in tempo as the heat gets to people.
Absolutely. There's 10 minutes. There's 10 minutes of running left, and Shankula, she looks a little bit. If you look at the turnover of their legs when we get the wide picture out, it actually looks like Gebrselassie may be moving better now, and Gardadi is also coming up from behind. So there is still, this race may not be decided yet.
Well, the 39-kilometre split, 2:13.28. There is Gebrselassie, the champion 13 months ago in the USA in the Pacific Northwest. In again warm, difficult conditions. It was very, very warm in Eugene through July 2022. It's been, if anything, even warmer through July 2023. They've had temperatures up in the mid-30s centigrade for the last few weeks. But Shankule, checking her watch, there's all 3 of them. Of course, different degrees of focus. Shankule goes through, and her lead 23 seconds at 39 kilometres. That's a pretty substantial cushion. Only 6 seconds at 23 kilometres between Gebrselassie and Yahualo. So that has opened up fairly quickly. Yahualo, I think, of the 3 is suffering the worst. She had to give ground and see her compatriot move past her into second place. But she's taken on liquids in massive quantities. Yahualo, funnily enough, Sonia, was the first to really accelerate on the outward journey on this final lap, wasn't she? And break up the pack.
For a long time she looked the most comfortable, but we're at a point, there's a point in the race comes that you can't plan for in conditions like this, and I think this is what's affecting the athletes right now as Yahula continues to look over her shoulder. Gardadi looks like she's running at a pretty steady tempo here, but we haven't quite got the gap. I mean, at 39k she was 1 minute behind, 31 seconds behind Yahula. So that's, well over 100 meters. But she has her inner sights and looks to be closing as all those lights are green.
Well, the leader is slowing. Shankula's last 2 kilometres, 3:17 and 3:22 after a series of 3:12s and even down to a 3:11 and 38th kilometre. She did the damage. I think maybe that's what we have to say, is she really worked hard, dug in so deep to get that gap and destroy her compatriots behind her, but she is suffering herself. The only thing is they're suffering as well. 2:16.50 at 40k. That was a 16:08 clocking, identical to the 5k that led up to 35k. So their last 3 5k splits, 16:36, 16:08 and 16:08. Gebreselassie now 20 seconds behind at 40k, actually just looking as 24 seconds.
And Yahula is still pushing on here. She's getting the company of one of her Ethiopian teammates outside the barrier there, helping her along, but he's going to walk off now. So it's interesting to see all these people running alongside, and I'm sure this is encouraging for the athletes to have company out there in these final kilometres.
Well, here's Yahula in 3rd place. She is suffering. Shankula moving better. Just maybe the adrenaline is beginning to flow now. She's on the dead straight section of Andrassy Avenue. The crowd's roaring her on. She will be well aware. She had a couple of glances over her shoulder. She will be well aware of that gap behind her being a pretty safe cushion. At 40k, it was 24 seconds back to the 2022 world champion Gotiton Gebreselassie. Yahula a further 19 seconds back. She is suffering. Gardadi, though, at 40k was 20 seconds behind Yahula. So it may be that the gaps now will not change. I think there'd have to be a dramatic slowing or else a very, very impressive acceleration for the medal positions to change. It could end up being a 1-2-3 for Ethiopia. And I'm trying to think if that's been achieved before at a World Championship. I don't think it has, Sonia. We're all rushing for our stats pages.
I don't think in the women's race it has, but I'm sure someone will let us know soon if it has. But the gaps, I mean, they're definitely closing between Gardadi and Yahula. And I think, it definitely will have to be a dramatic slowdown and a steady pace by Gardadi for her to be able to catch up to Yahula at this stage. To gain 20 seconds over 2 kilometres is a huge task.
Well, let's take a look at this, and the gap is closing dramatically between Yahula and Gardadi, the Moroccan, surging here. Yahula, look at this, flailing arms. She's gone. She's gone. She is going to be passed, and Morocco are going to move into 3rd place through the figure of Gardadi. Incredible running there from the little Moroccan. Wow. Fatima Ezala Gardadi moves into 3rd place. The dream for Ethiopia of 1-2-3 dissipates almost within sight of the finish in Heroes Square. And Yahula, well, she looks over. There were flailing arms a minute or 2 ago. I thought she was going to collapse or stop. She's jogging on there, right a picture. But she has run herself into the ground. The surge that, ironically, was at about this point heading out in the other direction on Andrassy Avenue that broke up the field, has broken her. And Salpeta, you can see top of picture, is moving into 4th place. She's going to pass Yahula any second, and then there will still be a battle for bronze. You can see the champion to be surely in the foreground. Amane Belise Shankula will retain gold by the looks of things for Ethiopia. Barring disaster, this has been a quite brilliant closing 8 kilometres or so from her. Checks her watch again. Just don't know why she's checking her watch all the time. That misting spray that they're running through doesn't really look like it's doing much good. They're far too high in the sky, and the mist is actually landing back on the pavement behind the railings, I think. Looks great. Gebre Selassie in second place, has a target, but she's going to run out of road, and I'm not sure she's floating anyway, Sonia.
Yeah, I think Shankula, she's got a large enough lead at this stage. She can see the heroes square ahead of her, and Gardadi now has her eyes focused on Gebre Selassie. But you know, when she passed Yahula, these are the scenes that we're going to see later in this race. I think when athletes, they just totally run out of energy, and it's something that they can't control because the conditions just take such an effect on them at this late stage in the race. And Gardedi, now she's still looking at her watch, and I'm not sure if she may be, she's too far to catch up to silver, but she's eyeing the finish line as well and working hard, and even right now Shankula is feeling it, and she's concentrating. I think the work she put in early has got her to this point, but now it's survival mode to just get to that finish line and maintain her lead.
Well, the lead is 24 seconds between the leader Shankula and her compatriot, the 2022 champion Gebre Selassie. It's a huge gap back to Gardadi of Morocco, who is in third place, looks to have secured third for herself. Here is the form of Gebre Selassie. The adrenaline pumping through all their veins. That's why they're bouncing a little bit better. They know they've got one hand on a medal, each of them. Shankula, the arms beginning to flail a little bit from side to side, but what a glorious sight for her. The slight right hand lean there before heading onto the orange carpet of Hero Square. 300 metres to run then for Shankula. Ethiopia, the greatest race of her life.
Ethiopia!
42 kilometres, some 24 seconds as she negotiates this long sweeping left-hand turn. The crowds roar her on, the banners held aloft. One final little check over her shoulder. She cannot believe she's going to be crowned world champion in a few seconds' time. And considering how quickly they've run through this second half, she's in fabulous shape. The first half was slow. The second half has been lightning quick, considering the temperature has climbed now to something very close to 30 degrees centigrade. Ethiopia will retain gold in the women's marathon in Budapest 2023. Sebastian Coe to the left there, holding is world champion. Shankula.
Work and Abba, work.
Amane Balise Shankula, the third quickest athlete in time. In all time, is the fastest in the world this year in Budapest. And there a silver medal for last year's champion. Stout defence of her title, just fell one place short. And Gardadi of Morocco, who could have predicted this? If you had tried to get odds on this, you would have made so much money this morning. But it's not about money, it's about medals. These are forever, these medals. And this from Fatima Ezala Gardadi at the age of 31 in only her third marathon. And it's going to be, funnily enough, almost identical to her two-thirds so far. 2:25.03. 2:25.17 in Budapest. Miraculous running from Gardadi, and boy did she finish fast, Sonia O'Sullivan.
She finished strong, and she looks like she absolutely cannot believe it. And here is Lorna Salpeter managed to also overtake Yahula on the way in. And these athletes, they look like this has been really hard work this last bit. When they hit the carpet, it looked like, you know, they felt like we're home, but they all looked like they had to concentrate so much to get around there, falling down. And even Yahula, as she's coming in here now in 5th place, she looks like she's really struggling. Just this is like I'm sure they're just feeling these challenges, they just can't control it anymore, and it's just a concentration to get across the finish line and relieved to be home.
Yeah, Yahula has been a great champion in her time, a fabulous racer, but undone by the temperatures here today. Just makes it across the line. Yahula, the London champion from last year. All three of her marathons prior to today have been under 2:20 by the 24-year-old. She was only 24 3 weeks back, but today something around 2:26.20 for her. And the moving well, perhaps better than most of them through the latter stages. 4th, 6th place is Wanjiru of Kenya. Rosemary Wanjiru, the Tokyo champion, spends much of the year in Japan. And in her third marathon, she finishes 6th in the World Championships. It's given her all to Kaptic in 7th. So the Kenyans failing to make it onto the rostrum. That in itself a bit of a surprise. But Kaptic coming home for 7th place. Great run from Seli Chepiego Kaptic. She too, another athlete.
ኤርትራ ጎረቤታችን እህታችን በርቺ ገባች
Best of the Eritreans coming through there. It's been a great day at the races for Weldu. Nazareth Weldu, who was 4th last year in Eugene, finishing in the 8th place. And look at this from Flanagan. Boy, oh boy. Susanna O'Sullivan behind her. Lindsay Flanagan comes home in her 17th marathon to finish inside the top 10 in the world. 9th place for Flanagan. Fantastic, and a long way under 2:32 in these temperatures. It's 30 degrees centigrade now in Hero Square. And that is quite some run from the Benita Willis coach, Lindsay Flanagan. She's actually she's only run about a minute outside her season's best. She's only 2 or 3 minutes outside her lifetime best, Flanagan. Relatively speaking, that's one of the races of the day, Sonia.
It's amazing, and all of these athletes have run a faster second half of this race, and with the winner, she ran 69:54 for the second half. So that's a sub 2:20 marathon pace for the second half of the race.
Tesford will finish in 10th place then for Eritrea. That's 2 Eritreans in the top 10. That is brilliant. And Tesford was 15th in the Olympic 10,000 metres a couple of years back. It's only her 3rd marathon. She's a relative novice as well. She crosses the line there, just inside 2:29. Time up 2:28.19. Now Epis of Italy, great running from her. She finishes in 12th place.
እጅግ በጣም ደስ ይል ነበረ። ሸንኮሌ አንደኛ፣ ገብረስላሴ ሁለተኛ ወጣ። ኢትዮጵያችንን ዳግም አኮርተዋቸዋል። ኢትዮጵያውንም ኮርታለች፣ ዛሬም ኮርታለች። እንኳን ደስ ያላችሁ እላለሁ። መልካም ቅዳሜ። እግዚአብሔር ከእናንተ ጋር ይሁን። ሰላም ሁኑ። ፒስ በያላችሁበት። ለዚህ ፔጅ አዲስ ከሆናችሁ እባካችሁ ፎሎ ማድረጉ እንዳረሱ። ፎሎ ብታደረጉ ለእኔ ብዙ ነገር ያደርግልኛል። መድረስ ፈልገው ቦታ ያደርሰኛል ለማለት ነው። አመሰግናለሁ። እግዚአብሔር ከእናንተ ጋር ይሁን። ቀናችሁን ይባርከው። ሰላም ያድርጋችሁ። ፒስ